Hi, and thanks for joining us on Two Guys and a Lot of Wine. We are back from a long summer, Rocky.
It's been a long summer.
It's been a long summer, and it's been a long time since we've been in the studio.
Long, hot summer. Long, hot summer.
Probably one of the best summers that I can recall for many years with the weather.
Yeah.
But we are back.
A lot of rosé. A lot of rosé. This was a rosé summer. I'm going to have to say this is not a bold Cabernet type summertime, but we're starting to move into the colder weather. This is going to air right before
Halloween, hopefully. Yep, and it's going to be a doozy of a show. I mean, we're back in the studio. We have some things neither one of us have ever tasted before, except for the bubbles.
Yep.
And it could be a thumbs up, thumbs down, or some throw up fest since it is Halloween, right?
Let's hope not. But hey.
But here's the thing with Halloween, especially the fall, and some of these wines, if they're good, which they probably will be, can extend all the way through the winter. Mm-hmm. And there's one thing Rocky and I enjoy, and I know Rocky does especially. He loves a good red wine.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't really drink. We've had Halloween shows before, Rocky, and it's been really just been a kind of kitschy. Like we'll have bottles with funny pictures on them, or like vampires or something like that.
We do a big Halloween party at our house every year, and last year we tried to just go through the stores and find all the Halloween themed stuff that we could find, and not one of them was drinkable. Yeah. It was just, you're right. I mean, you don't. So I wanted to I thought about going that way with this, but I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to sit here and roll through a bunch of thumbs down just to have a Halloween theme.
I would suggest have your Halloween parties, do your decorating, and drink normal wines that either we recommend or somebody else recommends. Don't go for the kitschy stuff with the vampires or whatever else is out there. It's fun to look at, but you are not going to enjoy the taste. So what I started off, what we're going to start off tonight is, I think we've had it before a few times at many of the parties we've had over the years, and I'm not sure if I had it on the show. We've had Charles de Fere on the show before. Usually it's the dry brut, just the regular dry brut. I don't think I've ever had their rosé on the show, but we've had over 400 wines on this show, Rocky, in over 10 years. So.
Yeah, I've been coming on for 5-6 years now, so I don't even remember what all we've been through in that time.
And what's great about the Charles de Fere brand is it's a budget sparkling French, and it's dry, it's a brut, it's a rosé, and it's not going to break the bank. And I've never really had a bad Charles de Fere before, and if you like your wines sparklings dry, you're going to like this one. If you like rosé sparkling dry, I think, personally, you're going to like this one. Yeah,
this was, I get a little bit of a baked bread note from this off the nose, and I'm not sure if this is Lee's aged, but it definitely has a little bit of that.
I mean, obviously it's not vintage, but this tastes higher than its price point, in my opinion, especially their regular brut.
What is the price point on this one?
This is between $12 and $14.99.
Okay. Definitely a bargain. Yeah,
it's definitely a bargain. And you can find this pretty much locally, not everywhere. I think the liquor depots carry the Charles de Fere line. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if Wise Old Dog does. I know it's easy to find, though, if you're looking for it.
Right. And I'm trying, this is why I actually went to Wise Old Dog today. I'm going to try to stay more at home with the show, because I get some stuff through the mail order every now and then, but it's kind of, for the purposes of this show, those things are come and go, and then if it airs a month later, nobody's going to have access to it. So I've decided moving forward, I'm going to really try to kind of stick with some of the local places and some of the stuff that's available. I actually did ask them, look, this is going to air a month from now. Are you still going to have it in stock? It's like 1,000%. So just a couple of considerations. If you're looking for actual recommendations, I'm really going to try hard to do that on the show moving forward.
I like that approach because, like I said, in the past, I used to belong to a lot of wine clubs, and I'd get different wines sent in, and quite a few of those I tried for the first time here on the show.
Yeah.
And you could look them up or go to whatever wine club it is I happen to bring in and mention, but I think you're right. I think you want people to stay local, you want people to buy local, and be able to go out that same day when they see the show and get the bottle and try instead of waiting, a week or 2 weeks for it. So.
But this is delicious. I mean, fruit-wise, this has got a lot of strawberries to it. It's got maybe a little bit of a cherry note to it. It's got, like I said, a little bit of a bread note to it. This is everything that you would want in a higher-end $50 bottle of champagne, the rosé.
Completely agree.
At the price point, it really can't be beat.
It's one of the few budget sparklings, and once again, I'm always going to talk about French sparkling because to me, they're the best. It's subtle in every characteristic. Nothing in there is overpowering, and it's a perfect blend. There's nothing that's going to attack your palate. There's nothing that's going to overwhelm your senses. This is what I call a good Halloween pounder and winter pounder in the house or outside in front of a fire.
I think for when it comes to rosé bubbles, France is the best place to go, and that runs the gamut from high end to low end. I'm just not a huge fan of the prosecco that's made in the rosé. Cava also, I'm iffy on it. It really depends, but France, pretty much no matter where you are in France, whether it doesn't have to be champagne. It can be.
That's right.
It can be a Cremant from anywhere, and it's usually going to be a pretty good quality thing. So
they've been doing it a long time and know what they do. They do it well, and like I said, it's not for everybody because a lot of American palates sometimes lead towards the sweeter sometimes when it comes to sparkling, but
yeah,
not Bobby P.
Not Rocky H
not Rocky.
either.
We like our sparkling.
No, I'm not a big fan of sweet sparkling wines, and especially the next morning, I'm not a big fan of sweet any wines because they give me the worst hangovers.
So we're going to move right in because we're going to probably get to 5 wines tonight, which I'm hoping for. The next one is my choice. It's a Replica, is the winery. It's a Pinot Noir, and it's from one of those conglomerate wine places out in California where they take a lot of different grapes in. It's I hate that.
So it's not appellation specific, as they would say. They just take stuff from here and here and here. You're starting to see so much of that. Meiomi made that popular with their whole tri-county thing, where they're just taking grapes from different regions and blending them together.
And you could look this up online. Once again, this particular bottle, unfortunately, I do not remember where I got it. It was sitting with my other stuff in the cellar. I had like 20 Pinot Noirs, and I wanted to grab one that was going to be in the price point that was, accessible. So you might have to look this one up. If you look on Vivino, I think it's 4 stars out of 5, and the price point is between $14 and $16.99.
Just touch on the Vivino thing for those of you at home that if you're wanting to learn about a wine and you have the wine in front of you, even in a wine store, there's an app called Vivino, Vivino. And what you can do is you can go onto the app, you can snap a photo of the front of the label, and then it'll immediately pull up that, and it'll have, if people, typically a few people have rated these wines on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. You can find out a lot there.
Where you can buy them, price.
Where you can buy them, what the price point is. I know a lot of wine store owners have said that that's one of those things that they don't like because people are going on there and going, hey, this average is $20 and you're charging $21.50. So these are prices from around the country. Different spots are going to have different tax.
Absolutely. What I find the Vivino app helps me with, a lot of the stores, the bigger wine stores, have discount bins where they either are selling something because it's getting close to being out of date or whatever. And that's where Vivino comes in handy because their discount, you could scan it. So a lot of times I'm getting wine that's $40, $50 that they're selling for $20. 25. So that's where it really comes in handy.
Oh yeah, if you are ever up in the New Hampshire region and you can make it into one of their state stores, they tend to have some heavy markdowns on the. It's not allowed as much in Connecticut. I know people still do it, but it's really not supposed to be done because they do have caps. But if you know the right places to go, you're going to find it. Like we all know that. So as far as this one goes, what are your thoughts on it?
For a Pinot Noir, it's not bad. I mean,
I'm going to give this a thumb sideways. I'm going to say because
it's cloying a little bit.
It's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It's a little syrupy. It coats the mouth, and it's got a little bit of a smoky thing going on. It's a 19, so it's not the smoke vintage, but this is not a wine that I would throw out. But it's also not one that I would probably buy twice.
Yeah, I'm going to say I agree with Rocky on this one. Like I said, it's one of the ones you'll put out on a table. Some people might like it. Some people won't. You probably end up at the end of the night with half a bottle of this left.
Yeah.
Put it out.
No,
it could age a little bit better. Could open up a little bit if it's sitting out.
Well, I think that what they're trying to do, and a lot of the places in California now are trying to do this, is to copy that Meiomi model. Because this has a lot of qualities of Meiomi. I personally don't like Meiomi. I think it's a little too on the sweet side, and I think they also throw some extra stuff in there. I've heard everything from Riesling to Malbec to nobody really knows what they
I
put
tried to
in
look
Miami,
this up, and they didn't say what the variety.
Yeah, you can in California. 25% of that could be a completely different grape. It doesn't have to be 100% Pinot Noir. Typically it is, but I don't know. There might be something else in here. It's pretty light in color, though.
The color's good.
It's got kind of a purple hue.
It's one of the wines that we've said this many times. It's a wine that's not offensive, and I took a little bite of cheese with it. And
oh yeah, let's try that.
It's certainly fine.
Food can change a wine completely. But yeah, they're definitely trying to be Miami with this. That's my take on this wine, and that means if you had it at a party, it probably would go because people love Miami.
Yeah, and they do. A lot of people do like Pinot Noirs, and it's at the price point. Like I said, you can buy a few bottles, and it's not going to break the bank or anything like that.
What's the price point?
I think it was between 12 and $12 and $15.99 around that point.
Okay.
And you could probably find it for on the lower to middle $12 side.
Okay.
But for those people that really like a good Pinot Noir, this certainly isn't going to knock your socks off or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, if you want a Pinot Noir that knocks your socks off, you're going to be spending upwards of $100.
Yes, and unfortunately,
we don't budget that for that. Yeah, I say, hey, I'll tell you what. As soon as I win the lottery, I will come on this show. I will vow now to come on this show and bring 5 bottles at north of $100 each.
I think
I wouldn't put my calendar.
In the almost 11 years now. Actually, I think November will be 11 years now. We've been doing the show. I think we've only had maybe 2 or 3 shows. We've had people or either Rocky or I have brought stuff in that was over $50 that we've tasted. And we generally don't like to do that, even if we have guests that want to bring the bottles in. We're not going to say no if they want to bring them in. But the whole
For those of you watching, if you happen to own a wine store or a lot of expensive wines, just give us a call. You're more than welcome to sit right here between us, and we will taste your wines. We're givers, Bobby.
Yes,
we're really nice people.
True.
I like to give to the world because it gives so much to me.
And actually, we were just talking earlier. I think our last show we filmed in the studio, my friend Spencer Kane, he had one of the Kane.
He brought some, yeah.
Those were in the $50 to $70 range, and those were very good also. But we try to keep everything on the show accessible, so the average person can go find it and buy it. And if you don't like it, you're not going to feel guilty because you spent $70 on a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
So. All right, so I'm going to agree with Rock in this one. I'm just going to give it a half thumb. Maybe tomorrow or later on tonight, as this opens up, it might taste better, but I doubt it. So now we're going to Rocky's selection.
Okay, so I was on my way home, I was not planning on getting home in time. I was just going to grab something out of the cellar, but I said, I've got time. I'm going to stop by Wise Old Dog and just see, what's your opinion on something that just screams fall? Fall weather, fall wine. What's a good fall wine? And when I think of fall, I think of Pinot Noir because Pinot Noir is kind of the entry, and it's kind of an entry, and it's not too heavy, but it's not a white wine. It's just kind of that in between, just working your way into the heavy reds. And so I kind of went off script here, and I'm going with Malbec. Now Malbec is not something that I drink a lot of personally. I don't have an issue with Malbec. I just don't drink a lot of Malbec, and I really don't know why. It's like if I'm sitting in a restaurant and I've got a steak, I'm going to Cabernet. If I'm just wanting a couch wine, I'm going Pinot Noir. If it's summertime, with the whole gamut of usually rosé or whites, and Malbec just doesn't really fit into there anywhere for me. So,
and this is from Spain. This one's from Spain.
Okay, so Malbec originated in the south of France, and this one right here is from the south of France, and it's also one of the, people don't know this, Bordeaux. When you think of Bordeaux, you think of Merlot, you think of Cab Sauv, you think of Cab Franc, Petit Verdot. There are 2 varietals in Bordeaux. One of them, they call it Co, but it's Malbec, and the other one I believe is Carmenere. But they don't put it in any Bordeaux. It's allowable in Bordeaux. It's where it comes from. Well, actually Jacob told me this today. The Italians took that grape to Argentina. And Argentina, Mendoza in particular, Argentina, has a really good climate. It's like a high elevation, really good climate for this particular grape. And most of the Malbec that you see at restaurants comes from Argentina. It is incredibly well priced. I mean, you can get when you're going into a store and some of them have that 95 points plastered on it and it's like $11 and you're going, how is that possible? It's almost always Malbec that they can do that with, because there's some really good Malbecs out there for a good price point. I don't know. I've never had either one of these, so let's try it out.
And this one though is not from France, right?
So we're starting with Argentina. I really don't know which direction to go. I would say typically the one from Cahors, which is in the south of France, those tend to like slap you in the face with fruit, but this one maybe it could be delicate. I don't know. I've never had it.
I think Jatu, former director here at WHC-TV, was a big Malbec guy.
Is he?
I think so. We've had him at the parties a few times. I think was it Malbec or a Tempranillo? I can't remember which one he liked.
So one thing about Malbec, it's typically that you see is this purple. I love that purple color that you get when you tilt the glass. You can just see that purple edge. If you're into blind tasting, that's like one of the giveaways for it.
And that just reminded me why I do like Malbec whenever I drink it. It's very drying. It dries your mouth right out very quickly.
What's the vintage on this? I don't see the vintage. This is 20. No, I can't even see the vintage.
Our age is showing. We cannot read the bottle.
Well, no, it's just.
Is it even?
Do you see a vintage on there, Bobby?
This is the first time.
I don't see a vintage on there. Well, you know what? 2021.
2021.
That would explain why it's got some tannin there.
There's the tannin word.
The tannins tend to fade over time, but this is from last year, so it's going to be.
What I like about particular wines like this, and we'll talk about the Malbec, is, at least for me, I take a drink of that, and it tastes very good. There's no lingering. It tends to dry your mouth out, so you sort of want to eat something after you have a glass of Malbec.
That's why if you combine it with the cheese, and let's try it again. It's going to be less drying. And the reason for that is the fats in the cheese. The effect of tannin is a polyphenol that binds to the saliva in your mouth and washes it away when you swallow it. You got nothing left. And so what happens is the fat competes for that, so that it takes those chemicals and sticks to it, and so those chemicals can remain on your tongue because the fat's taking it away.
I always enjoy when you use big technical words like polyphenol.
Polyphenol, yes.
That's very good.
That's my big word of the day. I drive my wife crazy. Sandy really hates it when I use big stupid words.
I do not hate
those
it.
wine terms.
Love it, actually.
If I have a corked wine, I usually say this has a hint of 2,4,6 trichloroanisole on it, and
what's good about this then, and this might play into the Halloween time of year, especially if you eat a lot of chocolate. This probably goes very good with chocolate.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, there is a big controversy lingering about whether you can have chocolate with red wine. I personally think that Cabernet and chocolate are a match made in heaven.
We did a show with that one time with the chocolate with the cats.
Yeah, I
was
mean,
it last Halloween?
But
Maybe that's when we did
a lot
the
of
show.
people will tell you have to have a sweet wine with sweets. I disagree, and I think this is a. So, before we go to the next one, what would you say is the fruit? If you had to name the fruit on this,
because of what it does to me, I'm gonna go almost with a cranberry-esque type thing because it's so.
Get a little cranberry. Like definitely get some blueberry.
Croissant, yes, that's it.
Now I'm hungry for
what's
croissant.
What's that C-word fruit? Croissant, C-U.
Cranberry?
There was another one.
Fruit, is it a berry?
It's a berry, yeah. I just can't think what it is. But I'm gonna say the cranberry only because, at least for me, it has that puckering, but there's no lingering. It just dries your mouth right out, and you sort of want to eat something afterwards.
Yeah, and one of the things I like about Malbec, other than Malbec, I can't think of another great, maybe Zinfandels like this, in that it's got red fruit qualities and blue fruit qualities, and when you have a wine that has red and blue fruits, it's typically a blend. That's like they do in the Southern Rhone, where they blend the Grenache with the Syrah so that you can get the red and the blue. This is one grape, but it has both qualities to it, which is really cool.
And what price range are you talking about for a Malbec like
These are both just south of $20.
Oh, so
yeah, we're same price range, yeah. Yeah, I said I wanted to stick under 20. For the purposes of doing this show, also, I want to try to keep.
Well, you know what's going to be interesting because there's two Malbecs, and like you said, one's from France, one's from Argentina, and I'm very curious to see
I am
the
too.
differences.
I've never compared Malbecs side by side from these two regions. Really, I can't think of any regions that they're making a whole lot of Malbec other than these two regions. I mean, I guess in the States we're starting to do that some, but not. You don't see a lot of California Malbec on your menus. So I don't have a lot of it.
I think over the years we've maybe done 2 or 3 shows that just featured South American type wines. I think Jim, I was away on vacation at one time and he had a distributor on from Spain. They must have done 6 or 7 wines on the show, which is still up to this date the most anybody's ever done on the show. I think they had 6 wines.
I mean, you would have to really slam those down.
They were slamming them down. I saw the show, and there was from Malbec. They had, you name it, there was on the table. But we've never really divulged or devoted a show strictly to a Malbec, or even a Tempranillo, or anything, just one varietal South American type of wine. We've either mixed them up, so we'd have Malbec or a Tempranillo or something. We've never had the whole gambit down the road. So.
The traditional Malbec is supposed to have a really earthy thing, and I think of recent they've really gone away from the earthy feel to more the kind of like berry bomb thing. And I like the earthiness that the Malbec used to have. This doesn't have a whole lot of earthiness. It's got some of it to it though, but it's
the French might. So
it's a cool one, and honestly, I would give that a thumbs up. So
no, that's getting a thumbs up for me.
All right. You're going to let me pour?
I'm going to let you pour this one.
I've been told I over pour.
That's good.
All right.
Similar in color, but a little bit darker. Tad bit darker.
All right. So.
A bit milder nose.
It does have that similar color.
Oh.
Ooh, that's a little funky. Ooh. That's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing at all, but that's completely different than the Malbec I just tasted. This is not only not drying my mouth out, I'm getting a nice little lingering aftertaste afterwards. And it's a little on the fruitier side. Rocky's thinking about this.
What is the difference in those two wines that sticks, that just...
And there is a substantial difference.
There's a huge difference. I'm trying to put a finger on what it is, but... Obviously the tannin, this is less tannic, and it might be a couple of years. Let's see if I can read it.
That was
2019.
Yeah.
I read it right off there. I didn't have to get my glasses out or anything. All right. So 19 and 21. Obviously the tannins are going to be a little more subdued because it's had a couple of extra years sitting in the bottle.
Subdued. I think that's exactly what I would say. It's a much more subdued wine than the first, more recent Malbec. This.
I'm going to say that the fruit characteristic is plummy.
Plummy.
It's got some plumminess to it. It is. I get a little bit of a raspberry to it.
So get a little bitterness. So there's still a little puckering effect, but not nearly to the same degree as the Argentina Malbec. This is a good drinking wine. You can sip this. And I did have a piece of cheese when you were talking, and the cheese went a little bit better with this particular red than the ones from Argentina. But it's still quite different in flavor.
Yeah, I had every intention of looking up the specs on these, but unfortunately a pediatrician visit that ran a bit long kept me from being able to do that. So Jacob Thomas, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I totally dropped the ball, but I did not have time to study up on these. But I will have to say, between the two, I'm probably going to go with France as the one that I like the most. Which one would you say?
They're so distinctly different. It's going to be difficult for me to make that assumption that one is better than the other because they both have their place on a table for me.
Yeah.
But if you're just looking for a general, where you're sitting around with a bunch of friends, maybe have a little charcuterie, or you're just talking, I'll probably lean towards the French one. No question about it. So, wow, that went pretty quick, the first two.
So we still have one left, don't we? All right, well.
And what's interesting about this next one is it's a Argentinian.
Bottoms up.
Argentinian wine. And you're going to find, or if you look for this one, you're probably not going to find this too often, but check it out. Just look up Argentinian wine.
No, Armenian.
Armenian wine. See what happens?
Close.
Armenian wines. And you see a lot of Armenian
geographically,
wines. At least if you go to a restaurant, you're not going to probably find them too often. And what restaurants do is they tend to buy these in bulk because they're very cheap.
Yes.
And they're usually very cheap, so they usually give them away if they're doing a 2-for-1 promotion at a restaurant. Like, you get 2 meals, you get a free bottle of wine.
Okay.
And I've seen Armenian wines go for as little as $5 or $6 a bottle. But the thing is, Armenia's location, region is rocky. We talked earlier. They've been making wine just as long as anybody else.
Oh, it's one of the oldest wine regions that there are. Ooh, what's that smell? I don't know.
Oh God, that's awful. I don't know. That is not good.
I am going to have to say, I said it earlier, 246 trichloroanisole. This wine is corked.
Yeah, that's not good.
That has a slight tinge of wet cardboard or a wet dog. And so I am going to...
I don't have my spill cup either.
I'm sorry if there's any Armenians in our audience that we have totally just lambasted your wine, but that is definitely not, that has turned. Yeah, that is not
You know, and is there even a year on this? Oh my boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, we'll talk about this after the show, but I hate to say this, but Armenian wines, which I've had at some restaurants where they give you, like, if you're buying 2 meals, was pretty good. But this one is awful.
Yeah,
So,
you can't taste anything in there because it's tainted. I mean, it's got cork taint. So
please forgive us every once in a while we get a corked wine. It doesn't happen too often.
oh, it's something like, it used to be a lot higher. I think it's something like 5% of wines are corked.
All right, so to wrap it up, Rocky, my favorite's going to be. I'm not going to count the bubbles because the bubbles are fantastic. So
Yeah,
we're not going to count
that's
that.
hard to compare.
Between the three, I'm going to stick with the French.
I think I'm going to have to go with that.
Yeah.
And I forgot to bring my best in glass.
Best in glass will go to the.
Well, the best in glass
French
is going to
Malbec.
that. So our friends at Louis Dresner, you've just won an award for the Two Guys and a Lot of Wine, October edition 2022.
Awesome.
All right.
It was great being back in the studio, everybody. I hope everybody has a great Halloween. I'm not sure what the winter's going to bring, but we'll keep you posted. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but until next time, which will be Thanksgiving time, keep myself
And me.
in your wine cellar.